The revival of individual organs enabled scientists to proceed to experiment on reviving the whole organism. The revival of the whole organism can be achieved with the help of an apparatus called the auto-ejector. The auto-ejector carries out the functions of the heart and lungs. As we know, the heart, by its rhythmical contractions, supplies the body with arterial blood rich in oxygen. After losing its oxygen, the blood returns to the heart through the veins. From them, it flows into the lungs, whence with a fresh supply of oxygen it returns to the heart, and thence flows into the arteries of the organism. The auto-ejector works on the same principle. The apparatus includes a system of pumps for supplying blood and drawing it off. The arterial pump supplies the organism with arterial blood. When the blood has given up its oxygen, the venous pump draws it back into the reservoir. Here, just as in the lungs, it's enriched with oxygen and returns into the organism. The blood passing into the arteries of the body ensures the necessary metabolism. In this way, the auto-ejector can perform the work of both the heart and lungs. We begin the experiment of revival. The experiment is carried out on a dog. A substance which prevents clotting is introduced into the animal's blood. The dog is under an anesthetic. It doesn't feel pain. No interruption of the animal's normal functions has yet occurred. The dog reacts to touch. Its pupils are normal. A special apparatus, the kymograph, registers the breathing and the function of the dog's heart. The pulse and breathing are normal. The experiment begins. All the blood is drained off through the carotid artery. heart has stopped. This is one of the animal's last gasps. This is a final breath. The dog is dead.
Here's what happened after the discovery of the use of oxygenated blood. Thousands of years ago, the giant growth and the phenomenon of Holden were discovered at zero gravitation in space. Protected from magnetic fields and radiation, all biological bodies can be stored lifeless without changing, that is, without aging biologically. These bodies can be resuscitated with oxygenated blood of the same factor, and can go on living without disturbing side effects. No matter how long the Holden took. Upon waking up, testers believed they had only nodded off for a moment. Other advantages of zero gravity. Operations on lifeless bodies without time limit. For the growing together must be briefly revived with oxygen-rich blood. Laser biomerging works only on living bodies. Experiments with trained animals and brain transplantation into younger bodies confirmed that the ego consciousness is only in the brain. When doing research in a team using Holden, colleagues do not age while waiting for results. Using the Holden tactic, statistical age-related brain death was observed in mammals after about 108 years. Around 108 years of age, a vein burst in the brain in the temple area. The heart could pump blood healthily for approximately 200 years. Age-related brain death has been defeated. Only brains bred free of feedback were suitable for this. Breeding without feedback means breeding under sufficiently strong anesthesia in quiet rooms. Younger cloned brain parts, feedback-free bred, replace piece by piece, older brain parts. There are different levels of rejuvenation that remain unchanged for decades. Old and young parts of the brain live together every day. During this time, the transmission of ego consciousness takes place imperceptibly, even without therapy. At some point after about 90 years the whole brain was replaced. It was interesting that the test animals still mastered their dressage. The orangutan with a completely rejuvenated brain prepares its beloved daily coffee without having been taught this technique again. His everyday feedback was sufficient enough for ego consciousness transfer to be carried out to the younger parts of the brain. Actually, the ego consciousness is basically just the memory of everyday life, and living endlessly works because nature had integrated forgetfulness into the consciousness. Brains without feedback have no self-awareness of their own, only the potential. Diets made it possible to fit sizes,